Hello, kia ora. Welcome to Baha'i on Air. Today we are in Hobart in Tasmania and we have a very special guest for you, Professor Dahl, who's here for a Baha'i conference on ethics and the environment. Please tell us a bit about the IEF, the International Environment Forum.
Well, we're a virtual organization. We have no money, we have no budget, we collect no dues, but we function with the modern tools of communication with membership around the world. So we have a regular newsletter, we develop educational materials, we have these annual conferences, often in partnership with other organizations.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the conference?
Well, it's the 15th annual conference of our International Environment Forum, which is a Baha'i-inspired organization for environment and sustainability. We have nearly 300 members in 57 countries, so it's a very international group of people professionally involved in trying to help solve the sustainability problems, environmental problems of the world through their various professional activities to address not just the economy, not just the social or environmental, but how they relate to the roots of our society and the values we live by.
Are the other conferences, have they been held in different parts of the world?
Different parts of the world. We've had some in North America, in Canada, in the United States, some in Europe, in the Netherlands, in England, in the Czech Republic. We had one in Johannesburg at the time of the World Summit on Sustainable Development. So we've tried to move around the world and allow members of different parts of the world to participate in the conferences and be of service to the communities where they're taking place.
The reason why I'm here is because my background is in marine science, and so I've studied that for about 4 years now.
I'm really interested in climate change and what we can do about it to try to find a way forward for the future.
I'm interested in doing what I can to help with the environmental situation, make it better.
I'm very interested in the issue of environment and protection of Earth's resources and the welfare of humanity.
I came to this conference because I am very passionate about the environment. I care deeply about it.
We had quite a few members in Australia, and so we thought maybe Australia would like to have a conference. They decided to choose this beautiful centre here, this very environmentally sensitive, ecologically planned building, as a symbol of how Baha'is are trying to live these principles in a very practical way.
You can see here behind me the Bahá'í Centre of Learning building in Hobart. You can see the distinctive stainless steel clad dome, which kind of defines the auditorium. This is the main auditorium, so you can argue it's the most important room, it's the main meeting room, and it's the public face of the building. So we use a better quality materials here so that it has that lasting impact, and it's the first impression, it's the face of the building if you like.
I wanted to ask a bit about what your perspective is on climate change. And do you think, is climate change really happening?
Well, I'm a biologist. I mean, I've worked for 50 years in biology, and just since I began doing research 50 years ago, I've seen enormous changes in biological communities. Working on coral reefs, we've seen enormous changes in coral reefs with bleaching, with other things taking place. So already, the climate is already changing. It's happening. In the Arctic, I haven't worked in the Arctic, but I've followed the data because working out in nations, I had to follow data all around the world of what's happening. The Arctic Ocean's ice is melting so rapidly. The head of the Canadian Ice Service, and he said he was shocked and stunned. This is his official government press release with what happened when 23% of Arctic ice melted in one summer. We could see an ice-free Arctic by 2030 or even earlier.
We're about to go to war on society. We're about to go to war on society to try to overcome the obstacles to, or the challenge which is posed by climate change. We have to overcome the obstacles to dealing with it in a different way. When America started off at the beginning of the Second World War, it gave itself a matter of, is it 2 years, to be able to change its industry onto a military footing. And it did it all within a matter of 6 months. I'm saying that there is a possibility of doing it if you have the social and you have the political consensus and will to do it.
Tuvalu has, had enormous water shortages, salt water entering into their water supplies, rainfall patterns are changing, and more than 100 million people live at less than 1 meter above sea level. Now they're now projecting sea level rise of 1 to 2 meters in this century, and it will keep rising after that. And therefore, where are the people going to go? Nobody's thought about the receiving communities. People are afraid of too many immigrants. And the kinds of activities the Baha'is are doing at the local level, with children, with the youth, in their communities, these are the tools that we need to address that kind of problem coming from climate change.
And it's not that Baha'is are indifferent to issues of public concern, far from it. But given the high value that our faith places on unity, we do have serious reservations about a political system that is essentially grounded in division rather than bringing people together. So maybe the real question is how to get partisan politics out of our processes of governance. And perhaps the climate crisis is offering us an opportunity to look anew at how our society makes decisions about important issues.
The Baha'i faith, founded in the middle of the 19th century, has always had a vision of the future. Bahá'u'lláh, the founder of the Baha'i faith, said that we were needed to go beyond the nations of the world. The nations need to have collective security, eliminate war, and begin to build a world society, a world civilization, an ever-advancing civilization, drawing on all the richness of people around the planet.
We have the tools to see the future, at least to paint a reasonably coherent picture of what the future might be like. We don't have to wait until 55 million middle-class Americans suffer a disaster for us to be able to change the world.
We cannot judge the future based on the past. We can't predict the future because it's something new and different. We can make scenarios about the future and say, which of those visions would I like to have for myself? What kind of world would I like to live in? And then become ready for the changes that would take us to do that. Now is the time for people in their own communities, in their own lives, their own lifestyles, to take action for themselves as we address the serious challenges of climate change and bring in the ethical dimension that's so fundamental to any solution.